Hey, this is Jeff, and welcome back to the Coito Ergo Sum DLC crossover. We're here where we left off at the end of the last episode, at the X-22 Botanical Garden, looking for the personality chip for the Biological Research Station and some seeds for it to plant once it's activated. That'll resolve the last difficulty with avoiding debuffs in hardcore mode, because as soon as we get it up and running, we'll have a reliable source of food. We got water in the auto dock squared away a couple episodes ago, but last week I got jumped by some berserk Securitrons while I was pigging out at Elijah's old camp. Alright, what's up here?
2 plus 2 equals harassing the head of forbidden idiots of the think tank.
Lots of red on the compass. And I'm guessing it's not robots, so let's get out a different weapon. We picked up the lair last week. Let's give that a day in court. Spore carriers. Patient 0. Interesting. Either he wasn't very tough for a unique boss, or the lair is better than I remember. More. Patient 0 would imply the think tank is responsible not just for Night Stalkers and Cazadores, but also spore plants. Well, hey, X-22, Vault 22. That might be a coincidence, but I think we're onto something here. We know Big Mountain sometimes tested their tech without the knowledge or consent of the test subjects, but Vault Tech was even worse, so maybe it was a collaboration. I don't know. Maybe that's common knowledge in Fallout canon, but if it is, and at some point I ever knew it, I had forgotten. Anyway, keep an eye out for holotapes and seed packets. There's still red on the compass. Oh, speak of the devil. There's a seed packet. Dried Brock flower. Dried jalapeno. Dried pinto beans. Dried Xander root. Okay, that's the first of, I think, 3. Spore plant. Oh, I saw Xander root on the kill cam. They wouldn't put it up there unless there was a way to harvest it. Probably. So how do you get up there?
There is no standing on the green pipes. If you are standing on the green pipes, please get off them at once.
So you get up there by climbing the green pipes. Gotcha. But how do you get onto them? That's too high. It doesn't go anywhere. Maybe from the other side? Yeah, I think... Dope. Hold on. Yes. That's the Biological Research Station personality chip. Kakad has been snooping around the think tank for days, but now she'll have something that'll really interest her. Now, back to trying to get up to that other area. Almost had it that time. And it's not beyond the realm of possibility that there are some more seeds up there by that spore plant. Okay. I'm not admitting defeat. Someday I'll come back with a character who's not in hardcore mode to prove that that can be done without wasting all my food and water, but it occurs to me that Dala's intercom announcement might have meant crossing the overhead pipes from the other side of the canyon.
Slight chance of seed dispersal from botanical gardens predicted in the late evening.
Question is, how do we get up there? Gotta be kidding me. I'm rock climbing here. think I'm hitting the rock I'm standing on. Screw it. Just ignore him and climb.
I see you. Now I end you.
Oh, you want to play rough? Yeah, that's what I thought. Almost there. Damn it. But we are above some of the pipes. Good enough. Ah, no it isn't. I can't get under the top pipe. Maybe if I crouch? No. I'm so close and yet so far. Maybe I can get under the bottom pipe. Yeah, but I can't get back up from here. I think this was all wasted effort. Okay, wherever we are, we've confused the game so bad by being places we're not supposed to be that the landscape textures haven't even loaded.
Stop that! You'll damage the hull!
Well, there they go. Oh. I think I know where we are. Is that the magnetohydraulics complex? Yes. How did we get all the way over here? Yeah, I'm just going to fast travel back to Y0 and try again. Video rental income received.
Klein, remember the time you forgot to carry the 2 and nearly blew up the Y0 Research Center? Oh, wait, you did! Or was that me?
Day late and $1 short, Mobius. That's one of the announcements I was talking about last week that establishes Y0 was destroyed. But he did save you from hearing me sing Just a Gigolo, because we got the weekly deposit back at Lollipops, and I was about to say life goes on without me. Anyway, I thought maybe we could get up on the hill behind Y0 and cross the pipes from the north side, but that looked even less likely than the south side. And we're back to the stairs. Been there, done that. We need to get up to the south rim of the canyon. Like, right here, maybe? Well, this is embarrassing. There's almost certainly an easy way around, but I refuse to accept the premise that there are some problems whose potential solutions don't include climbing.
Kill them all, and let God sort them out. Running will only make the pain last longer.
Gutsies. I see no reason to fight them. Here we go. Hello. Dionaea muscipula. Apparently that's a unique spore plant. Corrosive glove. Scientist glove with acid damage. And even better, spore plant pods. They're required for some recipes from Honest Hearts, and spore plants in the Mojave don't spawn them. I didn't know the ones here did, but that's good news because some of those recipes are pretty good. I really shouldn't be wasting microfusion cells on spore plants. Here we go. Yeah. X22 is over there. So this pipe has to be the way across. Frag mine. Somebody doesn't want us going over there. I'm not sure about that. Can we get around this way? Looks like it. More spore plants. Didn't want the Brock flower. I wanted your seed pods. There we go. Hey, there's a seed packet number 2 right there. Now, how do we get around where the other one was? The other spore plant, I mean. I have no idea if that's where the last seed packet is. Well, there's Y0. So, around to the left.
Please avoid Boomtown for the foreseeable future until weapon testing is resolved.
I think this is it. Yeah, this is it. But I don't see anything up here but those Xander roots. It's almost certainly not on top of that irrigation pipe, but if you go through those windows, it looks like you might be able to get up there. After being played to a draw by a freaking staircase, you know there's no way I'm not trying, right? And it definitely looks like there's a path. Well, path is a bit generous, but something I can climb. Here we go. Yes. Now, how do we get on top of the pipe itself? Well, there's not much the right combination of strafe jumping can't achieve. There we go. No seed packet. Not particularly surprising, but I would have expected at least a little bit of loot or an Easter egg or something. The collision detection is a bit squirrely. Maybe they really didn't expect you to be able to get up here. I don't know.
Big Mountain, I, Dr. Mobius, will soon control you and all of science!
Well, much like Mobius, this seems to have gotten me nothing but bragging rights. Metagaming just a little. The other two were in areas guarded by spore plants, which would imply I just missed one in this area by the fountain. What's that? Valence radii accentuator. Ugh. I already have a better one, but if I could miss a glowing blue halo, I could definitely have missed a seed packet. There it is, right there. Now, back to the sink. Okay, the good news is I had an autosave from where I fast traveled after I pointlessly climbed all the way to the magneto-hydraulics complex, and since I knew where I was going this time, it only took me a minute to get back here. The bad news is the spore plants didn't have any spore plant pods this time. Seeds? Back to the sink. Can't fast travel while enemies are nearby. What enemies? There's no red on my compass. Maybe those gutsies are still hanging around somewhere? 3/4 of the map, you could just make a dash for the perimeter fence and get a free teleport, but of course we're in the quarter where it's up on the cliff and you can't get close enough to trigger it. Well, if we go over to the other side, overlooking Y0, there aren't any enemies left over there, and we should be far enough away from the gutsies, or whatever it was. Okay, third time's the charm, maybe? At least my autosave this time was from when I tried to fast travel the last time, so I didn't even have to walk here from Y0. And you know what? I'm not even going to risk fast traveling. I'm going to walk. I don't know if there's something about this area or if Windows is just in an unstable state and needs to be rebooted, but whatever it is, I'm going to drop a new save right here. And I'm going to avoid loading screens until I get home. Fingers crossed it doesn't crash when I use the door to the sink. But it's not like this is a big deal. I usually avoid fast travel in hardcore mode anyway. I just got kind of lazy since we have a reliable source of purified water at the sink. From the sink, at the sink. People who missed the last couple episodes have no idea what I'm talking about. And I'm going to go around the long way, the way we came, rather than walk straight to the sink from the fountain. First, we'd almost certainly run into hostiles in unexplored territory. We do still have a bit of an ammo shortage, and it probably hasn't been long enough for enemies along this path to have respawned. Ow. Okay, that was a little too high to jump. More importantly, I don't want to accidentally tag any map markers I can't explore because I don't want to use doors. I think I'd spend enough time around Y0 that I'd know where I was going. No doctor's bags, but I do have some Hydra. Unbelievable. Did you see the challenge message that came up before the addiction message? This character is level 44, I have a bionic heart that reduces my addiction chance, and this is only the 5th time in my whole life that I've ever taken potentially addictive chems. So of course it happens when I can't just fast travel back to the auto dock and get cured. I have no idea what the withdrawal debuffs are, but...
By Dr. Mobius! You won't escape me! Oh, hit my robo-skull!
So much for the enemies haven't had time to respawn theory. Well, I did spend an entire day of in-game time trying to jump onto that damn wall, so... yeah, fair enough. I could maybe climb back up to Elijah's camp, but if the Securitrons respawned, I'm really in no shape to fight them right now. And there's the withdrawal message. I have no idea what the debuffs are, and honestly, I don't even care. Actually, you know what? There might be a silver lining to this after all. I've wanted to walk across that railroad bridge since episode 2. I just never needed to go where it would have taken me. But it goes from the loading station to the east tunnel, and it passes pretty close to the dome. Yeah, the glass is half full. That's the hazmat testing ground. So this is about as close as we're going to get. Walk across this pipe. Landmine. Light step. Don't care. Guys, you picked a bad time. I'm jonesing and pissed off. You do not want this. Maybe I should get addicted more often. I'm sure that uncharacteristic burst of combat effectiveness had less to do with Courier Jeff's debuffs and more to do with real-life Jeff being annoyed about those crashes.
Stop it!
More of them. Great. Out of microfusion cells. What do I have left that still has ammo? Need a couple of stim packs, too. Those proton axes really hurt. Combine these SMGs and I should have one in pretty good shape. 200 rounds. You're in trouble now. It'd still be basically useless against Robo-Scorpions, but lobotomites don't have any armor, so it shreds them. Didn't you get the memo? Not a good time. A split second of lobotomite crotch, but probably still enough I need to blur it. Alright, the moment of truth. Actually, I'm going to drop another save right here, just in case it does crash when I go in. Ah, yes. First things first, let's get that addiction cured.
You require some additional services?
There's Muggy.
Oh, please, please tell me you brought me some coffee cups.
Yes, I did. Take as many as you want.
Oh, sweet, sweet fulfillment! I'll break these down for you just as fast as I can.
Hey, guess what I found while I was out?
Ooh, oh yeah, baby. Feels good to be online again. Yeah, all circuits online, ready to receive your seed.
What does that mean?
It's the miracle of life, baby. You bring me some succulent genetic samples, and I'll work my mojo on them. Clone you up all kinds of plants. Oh, yeah. I can also break them down for you, if you're into the kinky stuff. Bring me any old plant parts, and I'll grind them up into salient green for you. Yeah, you like that, don't you, baby?
So if I bring you samples of dried plant life, you can clone them and grow them in these planters?
You know it, baby. I just need some samples and I got you going. Take a few days, but trust me, it's all kinds of good.
And what exactly is salient green?
Just the miracle of life in sticky, gooey liquid form, baby. Heat that gunk up over a campfire and just watch it congeal into all kinds of plants.
This probably isn't exactly how I would phrase it, but I command you to open your port and receive my seed.
Ah, yeah, baby. Just slip it in there, all the way down in that dark, moist earth. Launching interface.
We will, of course, process seed into planter. That was the whole point of the last 2 hours, after all. Kikata and Muggy seem to be getting along. Hey, baby. I thought you should know, Dala has a fetish for people who still have bodies, and
Come on, baby. Bring me a sweet little dried fruit. I'll rehydrate all up in that thing.
Yeah. Anyway, she had an orgasm while she was scanning me, so if you feel like getting intimate with the biological research station, I'm cool with that. All right, I'm going to sort loot and get some sleep. Okay, slept, got my inventory straightened out, used the central intelligence to repair all my gear, and noticed there were a few unique items I didn't comment on when I picked them up. Well, it's not technically unique, but you can only get this in the DLC. Assorted lobotomite headgear, which ranges from bad to terrible. Minus 2 intelligence debuff. I'm not wearing that. And a lobotomite jumpsuit, which isn't bad if you travel light. If I didn't have to promote the brand image, I might actually wear that. And a Saturnite fist, which Courier Jeff will probably never use, but which came in extremely handy during the Skills Dash series. And we haven't seen the alloy research facility yet, but this is a hint that Saturnite is another tech that was developed here and tested at the Sierra Madre. Now, I don't think it was completely clear from the dialogue, but the biological research station is really flexible. And that's probably not the best way to put it in the context of that dialogue.
I'm so good, I might seed you just by looking at you.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Every time it speaks, it forces me to clamp down hard on my "that's what she said" reflex. Anyway, what I was saying was, salient green is both directly consumable, or you can use a campfire or hot plate to convert it back to any of the 12 plants it has DNA samples for. If you eat it raw, then that's probably also not the best way to put it. Anyway, I think it heals more hit points than any of those plants, but say you also want to top off your hunger and thirst, you might be better off converting it to maize first. Oh, I said the central intelligence repaired my gear, but I forgot to mention that it has a repair skill of 100, so it can get anything up to full condition. Anyway, salient green can sub for 12 different plants in campfire recipes, and it also weighs less than most of them, so if you do a lot of crafting in the field, it might be a good idea to carry some with you all the time. And while we're here, I want to talk some more to the brains. First up, Dr. 8, because I was wrong about finishing his loyalty mission. I noticed when I was editing that the message I thought was the completion notification was actually the message saying the quest had started. I know some of them you can skip their actual quests if you can pass the right skill checks, but in hindsight, that was a little too easy. And I hate to seem like I'm disrespecting him, but I'm probably going to skip most of his dialogue again because of the audio issue. Higgs Village. Dala and Boros both mentioned that too. Can you point it out on my Pip-Boy map? Next, Dr. O's self-esteem issues make him seem more approachable than Klein or Boros.
Breaking news! Talking lobotomite arrives in Think Tank. Its purpose, unknown. Undefinable. Its presence here, impossible.
I just wanted to talk to you.
Congratulations, you've succeeded. What, you come to humiliate me? Tell me how I've yet to find a means of stopping Mobius's scorpions? Or better, ask how progress is going on Securitron construction at the plant. We've had setbacks in research is all. That's all. And... Stop the presses! Just in from my eye monitors. Is that Robco tech on your arm? It is! What's your agenda bringing that in here?
Agenda? I don't have any agenda. Not with Robco, anyway.
Oh, really? You have their tech on your arm. How dare you bring Robco tech in here? What are you showing off? How great Robert House and his big company are? Ooh, we can make Securitrons better than any robot those geniuses at Big Mountain can make, and they'll last 1,000 years. You're lucky I don't have hands to tear that dip boy off your arm, or feet to stomp on its stupid metal guts. Ugh, damn Robco.
It'd be nice if this dialogue recognized Mr. House's actual status in the game, because O might appreciate it. If you didn't see the Coito Ergo Sum walkthrough, Courier Jeff put him on timeout. He's not dead, he's just disconnected from the network until he figures out that I'm willing to work with him, but not for him. Unfortunately, that's not an option. I don't think I'll worry you by telling you what House and his robots have been up to since.
Worry about House? Why would I do this? Hope he died alone in a dingy room, streaming his last remaining bodily fluids into jars. And him and his dirty girl bots. Don't even get me started on those filthy biological catcher's mitts.
Okay. I think he might be happy to know House is on the sidelines, but I'm guessing he wouldn't be that thrilled to hear about my fully upgraded Securitron army. Yeah, probably not. Calm down. I just wanted to ask you some more questions.
Fine. Ask.
You're the robotics guy. Tell me about Mobius and his Robo-Scorpions.
That genius Mobius somehow cobbled together these really impressive-looking robot scorpions with spare parts. Even painted them. Tried to see what makes them tick. Can't even examine them without them detonating all over me. Left with shrapnel and burns. Every time. Supposedly, he has even larger models, even a giant robot scorpion hidden deep within the Forbidden Zone. Yeah, right. Giant monsters, sure.
Hey, the first time I came into the think tank, you started to say, "Oh, isn't your real name," and then you got interrupted. Do you have another name?
Yeah, I do. It wasn't always O. I just took that one by default because sometimes it's easier to accept the mistake as long as the purpose works. I don't want to get into it. It's a sore topic with me. Makes my gel ripple.
With speech 65. Are you sure? I'm a good listener. Got the ears for it.
Great. Psychology. Clearly the worst of the sciences, right after colostodiuretics. Okay, so my name isn't O. Never was. It was circular, a single character, digit, but not O. But even with enhanced sensors, no one here could get it right. Always kept seeing the letter, not the number.
And intelligence 7. If they kept confusing the letter with a number, your name is Dr. Zero?
Yes, thank you. 0. I am 0. How hard is that? A narrow, thin 0.
All right. So you want me to call you Zero or...
Zero's my name. I'm proud of it, all right? It doesn't get the recognition it deserves. Truth be told, my emotional attachment to it doesn't even register compared to just having people recognize the difference. It's just that they're both sort of round and hollow, so when they monitor scan them, they assume that, oh, it's O. Vivisect me, please.
Intelligence 9. If you wanted to differentiate the 0 and the O, just put a slash through the 0.
What?
0. Draw a slash through it.
Did I shoot myself with a brainial beam or something? That's brilliant. I mean, I would have come to the same conclusion. Eventually. Who am I deceiving? I never would have figured that out. I can't figure anything out. I'm useless.
His whole name dilemma is kind of a computer science in-joke. Computers are profoundly literal, and switching 0 for O can cause problems, usually immediate and obvious, but in some rare cases, subtle and extremely difficult to diagnose. It's not as common these days with automated code assistants and all that, but that really is where the slash through the 0 that you still see in some fonts came from. In fact, when I was a kid, my parents had an ancient manual typewriter that didn't have a 0 or a 1 on the keyboard. I'm kind of dating myself here, but personal computers were rare and expensive when I was in high school, and we didn't have one, so I typed a few term papers on it, and you used capital O when you needed a 0 and a small L if you needed a 1. If I had a 20-year habit of doing that, switching to computers might have been tough. Anyway, so is that what you want to be?
Exactly. At least the old name was indisputable. O is more like surprise. Oh, look what I stepped in.
Well, there's power in 0. It reduces anything multiplied against it to 0.
Well, of course it does. That's the most lethal of mathematics. That's pretty cool, actually. Destroyer of numbers. I already wreck every robot I study. Why not basic arithmetic? I like your solution. With that kind of slash in the middle, I can set myself apart. If I wanted to. The make a 0 in all the think tank. They won't be able to escape it. That diagonal slash right down the middle. Thanks. Talking to you, it really helped unclog some frustration. Talking. What a primitive form of thought-kicking.
Okay, that's why I don't have a quest marker. 8's loyalty mission is already complete, too. First, I thought the mission start message was the mission complete message. Then, somehow, I missed the actual mission complete message. So we don't have to go to Higgs Village, but a sonic emitter upgrade and another personality chip sound like they're worth having anyway. But you know what? I only did Dalla's loyalty dialogue. I didn't ask her about Mobius or anything else.
I love to hear you breathe. And you return as curious as a teddy bear. Are you stuck in a looping gesture of greeting? Surely you must be aware of the gravity of such attached appellations, just as surely as you must have a title.
I'm sometimes called a courier.
Oh, a mailman. A delivery man. Someone who takes parcels from place to place using their primitive feet or similar conveyance. You are the second one I've met in recent times. Very different specimens.
Well, that's not where I thought this conversation was going, but that's a hint about Ulysses. Cool. There was another courier?
Of course. You must have met others in your travels. This one had met other couriers too, although it sounded as if he hadn't met the correct one. He asked us all many questions, and then he asked a most perplexing one. We had to segment the event out of our memories for safety.
She just told us their memories were erased, so this is probably going to reinforce her opinion that I'm just a pretty skinvelope. But what was the question?
I do not know, nor should we try to access it. Perhaps Klein has the logs. My evaluation would be to let your own curiosity go. I do not think that Klein remembers the conversation as being satisfactory.
So Courier Jeff can't be 100% sure, but he's heard enough stories about it. I was trying to clear things from my quest log, not add more. Anyway, he's got to be thinking it's the same guy. Can you tell me about Dr. Mobius?
Dr. Mobius, a monstrous brain creased with wrinkles of 1,000 evils, with but one jaundiced eye with which to perceive the world. Exiled from the think tank for crimes too heinous to remain in recorded memory, and perhaps differences in research methodology. His one terrible eye forever peers at us, an eye of ever-increasing magnification. He watches from his dome in the Forbidden Zone, spying on us all.
Sometimes it's easy to keep what I know separate from what Courier Jeff knows, and sometimes not so much. But in this case, given how unreliable and befuddled everything they say seems to be, I'm pretty sure he'd be increasingly suspicious that the situation between them and Mobius isn't as cut and dried, good and evil as they seem to think it is. I don't understand how the tech Klein wants will help.
It'll all become clear. If not, at least we will have the technology here at the Dome, where all technology belongs. When we have all the technology, all the answers, we can share it with the world, piece by piece. All will be in order, and all will be like Big Mountain.
And he would be 100% certain by this point that that does not sound like a good thing. Now, there's a topic you can bring up with several of them, and they're all fairly sensitive about it. Before this DLC was released, you heard the phrase the big empty in the base game, and maybe the preceding DLCs? Christine or Elijah might have mentioned it, but I'm not sure. Anyway, Big Empty is just a phoneticism of Big MT, the abbreviation for Big Mountain. And they get all kinds of bent out of shape about it if you say Big Empty instead of Big Mountain. Courier Jeff would probably have picked that up from context by now because we've heard them say Big Mountain many times, but I'll take one for the team. Can you tell me about the Big Empty?
The Big Empty? Now that's not a proper title for this research facility. You sound like previous test subjects that came here. This mountain, now crater, encompasses the sum total of knowledge of humankind. It is Big Mountain, where all questions can be answered. You'll see, no matter what your questions, Big Mountain will provide the answers, as it has done for so many before you.
Previous test subjects, plural, so not just the mysterious other courier.
Oh yes, we've had other subjects visit. It's why we had to calibrate the pacification field and warm up our brainial beams and vivisectors. Only a short time ago, we had 3-1 subjects arrive, and they ruined several experiments, and even injured 2 of our staff. It is a shame their brains left with them. With you, however, we have taken precautions to ensure that problem won't repeat itself. We've conditioned you so you can't speak of this place, discuss our secrets, or attempt to use force against us in any way. Isn't that nice?
Meaning the DLC doesn't add any dialogue with vanilla characters in the base game about things that happen here. Why did you say 3-1 subjects?
Because 3-1 is 2. 2 spoke to us, one after the other. One mean, one curious. But there was a third we didn't speak to. The last one is the -1. It got traumatized, then taken to one of our medical centers for de-traumatization. A rather unsettling procedure.
Christine, of course. What happened with the visitors?
Ask Dr. O. And you could have asked 8 once, until he was severely damaged in the attack. We like him better this way.
It's not very nice. And I communicate with him quite well, thank you. Oh, jeez. Another quest.
Until our next interaction, my intriguing little lobotomite.
Well, she said to talk to Zero.
Stop. Predictable. The lobotomite specimen returns. Its purpose? Repetition. Chances of success? High.
I'm afraid not. I heard you and 8 were attacked by previous visitors.
I don't like to talk about it. 8, he can't talk about it. They fried his voice module. Something good. It wasn't all the visitors, though. Only one of them got out of control. He's the one that took control of Little Yangtze, our old human farm.
Okay. Tell me what happened.
This human, I can't believe it. He broke out of the think tank in seconds. Then he went for Yangtze, got bomb collars, and started practicing on the subjects that were still there until he got the right frequency. We were sending robots to stop him, and he was slicing and cutting through their shells with some souped-up laser gun like they were cheese paper. When he hacked into the mainframe, A tried to stop him and got fried. Me? He rerouted my processors to take control of the train network here. If you see the tunnels with the trains plowed into them, you can thank our visitor for that. He wrecked the whole place. While we were trying to keep containment on the surface, turns out he used one train to punch out a tunnel and escape. Sealed now, but...
Well, that was easy. And while we don't know much about the other courier yet, that sounds very much like Elijah running roughshod over everything in his way, especially the bit about a souped-up laser gun. Looked like he'd been tinkering with a laser rifle in the abandoned Brotherhood of Steel bunker. He invented the hollow rifle he gave us at the Sierra Madre. He had a Gauss rifle when we fought him, and we picked up his jury-rigged Tesla cannon last week. So we know he's an energy weapons expert, which means we already have a pretty good idea of who the other two were, Christine and the other courier.
2 other human specimens. One arrived not long after the troublemaker, and the last one, not sure when he showed up. Thought the first one was going to be lobotomized in Y-17. She got out somehow. The last subject, Klein might know more. He talked to him, and let him leave the think tank. Hope he knew what he was doing.
Why is that?
Klein knows things we don't. And I think he told some of those things to the last visitor. Dangerous things if they ever got out.
I heard one of the previous visitors to the dome spoke to you and asked some questions.
Oh, yes, the last visitor. Well, the one just before you. Had an interesting name from some language that's almost impossible to speak. What did we speak about? Melancholy fellow. Had questions about history, but our conversation got interrupted. Twice, I believe. Once when the trains got derailed, and then a second time. Oddly enough, now that I'm accessing my databanks, I don't recall what the second time was. Mobius's incessant transmissions keep distracting me. Also, we didn't brain scrub the visitor. He may have left with some knowledge he shouldn't have. I believe, maybe. Oh, well, I'm sure it's of no consequence. I don't make many mistakes in calculation or perception, so probability favors me.
Cool. It really wasn't my intention to pick up 2 quests completely unrelated to the loyalty missions, but at least they're already out of my quest log. I'll ask him about the rest of this stuff later, because I've already gotten dragged into more dialogue than I was planning for this episode. I'm trying to keep a nice balance between action and conversation. Their dialogue is great. I just don't want to hit you with 30-minute chunks of it all at once. That's all for now. Goodbye.
Yes, a most goodbye.
And we level up from that. Cool. Why is unarmed higher? Oh, because I took a point of endurance with intense training for my last perk. All right, let's get them more or less back in balance. 10 points in melee weapons and 7 points in unarmed. No perk this level, so it doesn't matter that I haven't thought about that yet. And speaking of thinking, now I have a bit of a dilemma. My original plan was to start around X8 and sweep the crater counterclockwise.
Foot bone's connected to the leg bone. Leg bone's connected to the purple bone.
Right. Let's do this outside. As I was saying, I needed to prioritize the survival necessities. Force field upgrade for the emitter, auto dock, water chip, food chip. But I didn't want to jump around from place to place haphazardly and risk missing something important or interesting in between. I'd say the first part of that goal was a rousing success. We're well set up now, and we don't need to worry about dying of thirst or starvation. The second part was slightly less successful. I think we've covered everything out by the perimeter from about 4 o'clock to 11 o'clock pretty thoroughly. But as I discovered coming back from X-22, I have a blind spot closer into the dome. I don't think those lobotomites respawned. I think they were part of a group I never encountered before. It might make sense to clear the immediate neighborhood to reduce the chances of unpleasant surprises the next time I come limping home from an excursion. Beyond that, Higgs Village has been on Courier Jeff's to-do list since Dala mentioned she didn't want anyone messing with the teddy bear collection at her old house. Not to see teddy bears, but because that sounds like a contrived excuse, and she might have more to hide there than just that. And by the way, if you don't have the right perks or skills to complete her loyalty mission purely with conversation like I did, you have to bring her a teddy bear. Although I don't think it actually has to be from her house in Higgs Village. I'm pretty sure you can just grab one of the ones near her charging station in the think tank. Anyway, up to now that was on the low priority check it out when we're in the neighborhood part of the list. But now that 8 gave us a map marker and specifics about some pretty tempting loot, we might want to bump it up a bit. Since we now know Higgs isn't that far from the medical research lab, we could start there and sweep clockwise. I've never been one to stick rigidly to the first draft of a plan if I discover a better way to accomplish the same goals. So I'm going to call it a day and have a think about that. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next week.